With Star Citizen's pivotal new tech, persistent entity streaming planned to hit P2 sometime this month, with an extended testing period probably going for the next 3 months, CIG have decided to release an intermediate mini patch numbered 3.17.2 to sate our hunger for some new content. This patch just hit P2U and should go live in the next few weeks, and includes a number of really great features, quality of life improvements, much needed bug fixes, and Star Citizen's biggest event yet, the Siege of Orison, which is something I covered a little earlier on this channel. So in this video, I'll take you guys through those changes, updates, and features so that you can decide what's there for you in this new patch. And if you think I did a good job by the end and you want to support the channel, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to show your support. Now, before I talk about these features, I want to preface this video by saying first that the quantity of features don't necessarily always tell the story of how they may or may not affect your experience. So keeping that in mind, while there are quite a few things I'll be going over here, the overall weight in my view isn't really as significant as it might lead you to believe, and so I encourage you to limit your expectations for what you're likely to feel in this patch. It's just an intermediate patch between some larger ones. Also, this patch will include a wipe to fix some significant inventory issues that players have been facing, which has resulted in duplicated ships and issues with people's inventory. So unfortunately, we are going to lose some things this time around, but not money and reputation, thankfully. They've been able to keep those. This is unfortunately always a possibility with an alpha. It's just unfortunate that it has to happen again so soon. But anyway guys, let's begin with the features, beginning with the smallest and ending with what I think are the biggest. Let's begin with some bug fixes, because every patch brings them, but this one includes a really big one which fixes an exploit that allowed players to call someone and receive that player's location without that player's consent. This led to a number of harassment incidents and some stream sniping, so it's good to see that this was finally addressed. There are a number of other really great updates and bug fixes, so be sure to check the full list if you're interested. I'll post it down in the description below. A link, not all the bug fixes, just a link to it. Stepping up the impact, there were a number of quality of life improvements, beginning with food and drink, which can now be purchased in bulk through shopping kiosks. And speaking of shopping kiosks, the UI has also been polished, finally introducing a search bar to allow us to find specific things that we want, or even sets of armor, which is what I used it for when I wanted to find one of the new armors at Area 18. It seems to be pretty well coded and easily sorts through things quickly, so you can cut down your shopping time pretty significantly. I found that I spend a lot of my time trying to rebuy stuff when I die, so I think this is going to be a home run for a lot of you guys. But the quality of life improvements don't stop there. There are a number of others, including the fact that now, once you empty a magazine, you'll automatically discard it so it doesn't take up slots on your suit, which is great. And you also will now get friendly markers for missions where you've got NPCs or even other players participating with you, which will hopefully limit the amount of accidentally friendly fire incidents, especially with new players who really don't know the ropes yet and which armors signify pirates and friendlies. So this should make events and missions a whole lot easier to navigate. The Blade also saw a rebalance. This is a Vanduul alien ship, which is really cool looking, but has been pretty much absent from the PvP field for some time because it's just really not that good. So what they did is they increased its weapon velocity, increased its wing hull health to stop the wings from falling off, and changed its handling characteristics to bring it more in line with other ships in its class. I can't really say though if this makes the Blade good, because I'm not really a high-end PvPer. There are some big issues that I can still see with it though, such as with its limited capacitor pool and terrible red UI that make it really hard to use a lot of the important HUD elements, so they still have some work to do on this thing. It's also not gold standard, it's missing a lot of other features, so it's not quite there, but it's nice to have this. Probably the best quality of life improvement though has to be to the Mustang, which is a starter ship that many of you guys probably have. The Mustang Alpha now finally has a usable cargo box. So just as before, you can actually drop down the box, but now the sides, both the front and back, are operable, which reveals an interior that you can place boxes and objects in. This now makes the ship capable of doing box missions, opening the door to new players to experience a great deal of content that they were previously unable to do. One bonus to this is that you can actually step inside the cargo box and access the ship's local inventory, which allows you to store a number of additional items that you loot. So it's now actually a pretty decent starter ship. To be clear here though, this isn't a gold standard pass, and the Mustang is still missing a number of other important features present on gold standard ships, such as things like a gun rack and accessible components. So CIG wanted to let us know that this is a stopgap measure and that they have some better solutions planned in the near future. Hopefully that includes a gold standard pass on the Mustang and the Aurora, but we'll just have to see. I think though that this highlights the importance of constructive community feedback. I can say with 100% certainty here that without your constructive feedback, they wouldn't have tasked people to go and fix this ship. So don't stop putting together well-considered and constructive posts on important issues so we can get more of these really important problems fixed, especially those issues which affect a wide range of new players. Moving on, the Scorpius has also seen a little bit of a change. It's been nerfed in atmospheric flight because its top speed was faster than anything else, including the Arrow, for some reason. Unfortunately though, they haven't addressed the acceleration issue with it, which makes it much worse than other heavies in its class, such as with the Vanguard and Hurricane, so hopefully they still come back and rebalance it. A potentially even larger quality of life update though is an update to player and AI networking, which aims to improve on-foot AI and player movement. It should help improve AI responsiveness and reduce rubber banding for both AI and players, but unfortunately it's currently not really working very well on PTU, so I can't show you this happening. But CIG is aware of this and they're working out the kinks, so hopefully we'll see it fixed before it goes live and before we experience the big event this patch. One of the cool things about this though is I have witnessed it working really well in small spurts where players move smoother than I've ever seen them. Gone is the weird twitchiness that we've seen in the past when you see somebody walking around. So this could be really great potentially for people who want to make Machinamas or just feel really immersed by smooth player movement. So I'm really looking forward to this. They've also made a great quality of life update to elevators, which now move a great deal faster and don't kill you by accident. So that's good. They move something like 10 times faster than before, so that means that you're going to cut down on your travel time between different floors. I think this is going to be another big win for the community. Stepping up to more tangible content, Grim Hex's hospital has also seen some love with an addition of more areas for people to respawn when they die. This makes it much more in line with other landing zones, and this will also help out in big PvP and PvE events when there are a lot of pirate players respawning at Grim Hex. Keeping with the theme of new locations, CIG has also introduced a number of new Lagrange point stations which have been missing for some time. They include new refineries in some cases and mining areas, so there is more stuff to explore and potentially more mission areas. The new ones are Mike L2, Mike L5, Mike L4, Mike L3, and Crew L2, demonstrating the power of CIG's automated tools for kit-bashing new stations, so well done, Landing Zone team. Speaking of stations, CIG has revised every single station in the Stanton system, excluding LSR, introducing small and medium hangars so that players will now spawn their ships in enclosed spaces. This will undoubtedly reduce pad ramming and camping incidents, but I think it's more likely that this is in preparation for persistent hangars in the near future, which is enabled by persistent entity streaming, talked about earlier in the video with relation to 3.18, which is going to go into PTU probably later this month. CIG also added some set dressing to a community favorite racetrack near Clio's Rajari McGrath. If you want to find it, go to Clio, warp to Rajari McGrath, and literally you can't miss it from orbit. It's huge. You'll also now be able to find 3 new sets of armor in-game that are variants of the Morozov Heavy Armor set. That's that fabric armor that you've probably seen around. They're pretty neat. The red one is probably my favorite, and you can find that one at Area 18. There's also a lootable Grey Cat salvage backpack and prep for 3.18, but that's only in the loot table, and I've not actually found that one myself, so if you guys have, let me know. Stepping it up once again in Impact, 3.17.2 is finally introducing some new missions, and on that side, CIG have introduced a new illegal collect and delivery mission. For some reason, this was advertised as a completely new feature, but we've actually already had illegal delivery missions for some time. I think what they're really saying here is that they're just introducing more, not new ones altogether. Apparently these also now tie into the reputation system, so that is certainly new. They've also changed the way combat service beacons work. That's the new feature tied to Quanta, where the Quanta AI are spawning these sort of protection missions that you can do, they're space combat missions, They're now tied to reputation and have 10 levels, with the upper levels paying out really big and requiring big groups of players to complete. So this is actually pretty exciting, and I'm hoping this will make for some great group combat with my org. Perhaps one of the most interesting of the features that they've added though are a handful of new points of interest that are tied to some new tech and missions. These include the new Derelict Colonial Outposts, a feature that we've seen talked about on ISC and their developer posts, which were supposed to be a part of Pyro, but are now going to be part of Stanton as well. There are 5 of them total in this patch, all on Microtech, and they can be found through delivery missions. They are also going to feature Star Citizen's first implementation of planetary nav mesh, which is a tech that allows CIG's mission team to deploy AI on the surface of planets and moons for us to fight. This is a really important tech, and it's going to tie into the future of much more missions and hopefully fauna as well. Unfortunately though, the current PTU doesn't have the AI working very well. They work about as well as the AI in bunkers, so they might not shoot back, at least for now. Hopefully their networking fixes that they talked about are going to fix this before it goes live, but I'm gonna have to just wait and see. The locations are pretty cool to explore, and they make the world of Star Citizen feel just a little bit more lived in. They're not quite as big though as I thought they were going to be, especially because the developer post showed much bigger ones, but this is really cool, and for a first implementation, it is something fun to explore. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these on other planets and moons, so let's go CIG. One of the more exciting features though, in my view, is the addition of the Reclaimer Wreck missions, which can be found through the Mercenary, Investigation, Delivery, and Bounty mission chains. These are all also on Microtech, and there are probably no more than around 3 of them, but I don't have a hard number on how many wrecks there are. There are just a handful though, so don't expect that many. There are also additional wrecks in space, so those are going to be pretty cool. I've also not found those either. Let me know if you find one. I do plan on making a video on how to find these in the future through missions or through just manually going there, such as the one that Commander Jack found from my community that you can find by going to MT Data Center 4HJ-LVE-A, turning to 3-ish degrees on your bearing, and heading 400 kilometers in that direction. You'll arrive at a sea of green with a lonely mountain that has a snow cap on it, and just next to that, you'll find the Reclaimer Wreck. So be sure to head on over there if you wanted to see one of those for yourself and you weren't able to get the mission yet. These missions are really cool. They feature a good number of NPCs that you can fight, some puzzles, and obviously some loot that you can find in some of the nice loot boxes, such as the gold and red ones. And the higher level missions will also have additional NPCs coming in on landing ships, showing off Star Citizen's first implementation of AI-flown ships acting as dropships for AI infantry. So this is a really cool use of the AI nav mesh, plus the AI's ability to fly ships. I've not yet seen this myself though, so I'm gonna have to wait on this one to show you, and I will definitely upload a video when I do see it myself. We've also got a new space hijacking mission called the Black Kite. Woo! It's kind of like the 890 jump mission and the Caterpillar mission that you may have done before, and it can be found in your personal tab, so not in the main mission tab. This new mission has a chance to spawn in the Microtech area, and when you find it, you'll be tasked with boarding a 9-tails pirate reclaimer called the Black Kite, where you'll have to clear it out of all the nasties, and then complete some tasks on board, finishing the mission in a big culminating ending where you have to self-destruct the ship. We had a lot of fun doing this, so I'm sure you will too if you're able to find it. Finally, the highlight feature of 3.17.2 is actually an event called the Siege of Orison, and it takes place on Crusader's gas giant. This will involve a massive assault on multiple new Orison platforms where you'll be given the duty of clearing out the 9-tails gang. This event will begin in an FPS-only assault via the provided transport on the rooftop of the Crusader showroom on the main cloud view platform in Orison, and will ramp up as you can start borrowing ships to fight the 9-tails, and will crescendo in a big epic showdown that's just too cool to spoil here. So I'm probably going to make a video on this to show you the whole thing when it comes out, but for now I want to leave it as a surprise for you guys. I'm probably most excited for this event of all this stuff because it promises to be the biggest one that CIG have ever done, with the most amount of content to excite backers like me yet. Overall then, while it's an intermediate patch, there are a good number of things to sate the hunger of backers until the bigger release of 3.18 to live later this year. It demonstrates some of the important tech that CIG have been working on, like planetary nav mesh, which will enable more future missions with AI on the ground. It also gives us cool new locations to explore and some great new missions to try them out in. In the grand scheme of things though, it's only a taste of things delivered through just a handful of missions in the Microtech area, most of which will require you to do a great deal of grinding to unlock with the reputation system. Despite that, in my view, it's still an exciting patch worth checking out, and will definitely be a breath of fresh air for those starving for more FPS content other than the lame bunker missions that we've been doing for like, what, 4 years now? So, I'm excited for it, but what do you think? Is this something that is going to affect you? Are you looking forward to a particular feature in this patch? What are you most excited for? Let me know down in the comments section below, and as always, if you like this video and you want to see more, you know what to do. I've been Morphologist. See you in the next one.